Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Rich Goldstein here, host of the Innovations and Breakthroughs podcast, where I feature top leaders and the path they took to create change. Past guests include Roland Frazier, Ryan Dice, and Thomas Shipley. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you protect your ideas and products. We've advised and obtained patents for thousands of companies over the past 26 years. So if you're a company that has software, a product, or a design you want protected, you can go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com, where there are amazing free resources for learning about the patent process. And you could also email my team at welcome@goldsteinpc.com to explore if it's a match to work together. You can check out the book that I wrote for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. I have here today Cole Humphus. Cole founded Cole's Classroom. He rapidly scaled this online educational company from zero to over 150,000 customers in a few short years before he sold the company. Cole's current focus is helping other business owners to scale their businesses in efficient ways so that they can create more impact without sacrificing business profits. So I'm really pleased to welcome here today Cole Humphus. Welcome, Cole.
Hey, thanks so much, Rich.
My pleasure. So the focus of the show is innovations. And so you started Cole's Classroom essentially from nothing. I mean, what was the spark? What was the thing that had you say, this is what I have to build?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's going to make me think a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, it started back in 2012. So that's now 8 years ago. And at the time I was, instead of teaching Cole's Classroom, I guess we have people, for those that aren't aware of what Cole's Classroom does, we teach online photography education. So I was already a photographer, not from going to school. I taught myself how to become a photographer, specifically a wedding photographer, because I just wanted some side income alongside my corporate finance career, which is, I say career, but I wasn't out of school for that long. So I was taking pictures, and really the, I guess, idea for it came along because I was on a photo shoot, not for a wedding, but I was helping a friend of mine who is in the health and wellness space. And he had a YouTube channel of all things for a long time. And I was taking photos for him to use for his website. And I was like, hey, Sean, how's the website going? Like, you guys make any money on that thing? And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, how much? And he's like, oh, well, we've done 3 summits and each one's done 6 figures so far. And I was like, it was like one of those jaw drop moments that I'll never forget. And instantly I was just like, you know what? I should teach guitar or photography, because those are like the 2 things that I was kind of into. And he's like, oh yeah, you'd kill it. And that was like the, I guess, light bulb moment. But the actual reason why I chose Cole's Classroom was, it was so dang hard to learn. And I don't mean learn from the actual trade and the actual skill. It was hard. There was no good community online. It was a very hostile online education environment. And I think the best way of saying it in terms of why was, this was in about 2000 and, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2000. Yeah. This wasn't Cole's Classroom. This was when I was learning photography. This was in 2008-9. That was right when we had the big recession. That was when a lot of the veterans who've been shooting film forever, they were being replaced by digital newcomers. And I was just trying to learn online and ask questions in these forums. And it was just like a bloodbath of hate half the time. So all that to say, the main motivation was really to design, after I'd already been doing photography for a few years, was to have a safe haven place where people can come and learn, where essentially, truly, no question was a dumb question. And I just wanted to share what I was learning out in the field.
Wow. Well, that's great. And so, of course, there was the initial inspiration. There was the idea.
Right.
But then there were a ton of tactics along the way. And I mean, it's really fascinating. You're one of the most tactical people that I've met. I mean, we're both in a group together, this group called War Room, where people are, it's all top marketers. It's all people with 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, and they're all very tactical people. And we have a competition at every meeting about 4 times a year that we get together. It's called Wicked Smart, where um, people share their kind of little business tweaks that made a big difference. And Cole is consistently up there winning the competition with things that just made such a big difference with his business. I mean, he has all these tactics where it's like if people are about to cancel their subscription, and then he has like a brilliant way of recapturing them that then increased his rate of recapture or reduced his churn by like 40%. And like over and over again, Cole just had all of these tactics. He just his business has consistently been that. So it's just an interesting thing I'm raising is that you had the initial inspiration, you built the company from this idea, but then from there, it was tactic after tactic after tactic after tactic to turn it into something. The same idea could have very easily just gone over a cliff.
Yep. Well, it sort of did. I mean, I say it sort of funny like that because
Do tell.
I like to tell everyone, like at the time when I started Cole's Classroom, it was still alongside my corporate job. It was still while we were doing full-time weddings, like 25 a year. So in peak season, literally I remember a time where I worked every day because it was during the work week, finance, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, weddings, and then just that grind again. So there was like a 22-day period where we had no day off. And, everyone, it's easy to, what's the saying? Like, it takes like 10 or 20 years to become an overnight success. Well, I didn't have to wait 20 years, but I certainly put in plenty of hours before we got the success. And I remember distinctly trying to quit Cole's Classroom 3 times in the first 6 months because, there was probably 3 definitive times when I kept having to ask myself, why am I even doing this when nobody's coming? Why am I doing these YouTube videos when nobody is even seeing them? Why am I waking up at 4:30 a.m. to go and write this tutorial, but then I have no email leads, no comments, no nothing, right? So yeah, it's freaking hardcore.
Yeah, so it was hard earned for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I guess that's part of what I'm pointing to is like, as you fought your way to success through lots of tactics, through constantly refining and looking for an opportunity to tweak something, to shift something, to have a better tagline to get people to re-up or to convert or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think thank you for those kudos though. That means a lot. I mean, I agree. Like back then, things were a little different than they are now, and I say that in the sense like I think I would work smarter now, and back then I worked harder. But that working hard back then, and what I mean by that is like back then I did everything. I learned everything about. I am not just a full stack marketer. I'm a full stack online business owner. I didn't want to say entrepreneur because that's like way too wide, but like, it's not marketing and sales is just one component. And I learned it all because, to be honest, I didn't really have the budget or desire to go and just start hiring a ton of people. So it was harder work than what I would do now, but it was super valuable to learn that before hiring other people and getting help. And the truth is that I had to try. I mean, my success was 100% not just hard work ethic, but that constant waking up and drive to make it a little bit better. It's like instead of going out in the garage and tinkering on a car, like as a passion project. Mine was like, let me go and tinker and try and squeeze out a little bit more ROI on this sales funnel, or, you know, let me have a little bit bigger of a launch or tweak the sales conversion. And, you know, it's like, you remember one of the war rooms not recent anymore, but probably a year ago with Jay Abraham, like he had a great talk, is like all these when you make these incremental improvements, they definitely do have a geometric and exponential effect. Not that I had a hockey stick kind of growth scenario, but they do matter. And I see too many businesses when I'm consulting with them or whatever, that they have the set it and forget it mentality. And I think a lot of people have that. It's like, yeah, this is what I do. And, you know, I sort of take what I can get, and we grow 10% a year. That's cool. But that just wasn't ever exciting for me. And the truth is tactics wear out. So that's for everyone. That's me too. So tactics are only as cool as how quick they are to the market. Once everyone's seen them and everyone's doing them, they lose their effectiveness. And now you just have to, you better be ready to scrap and have some strategy up your sleeve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And though I guess the thing about tactics too is that you could, you don't have to be the only one using that tactic. Maybe just the only one in your industry.
Well, I was the first,
right.
not the first, but like I was among the first wave of people doing like really aggressive, like Facebook ads. I don't mean aggressive, like direct response copy. I mean, just like bigger budgets, you know? And the thing is, I was talking to somebody earlier, we were having a meeting, and I was kind of like, on one hand, poo-pooing my success, but at the same time, like giving myself props. And it's sort of weird to like do, but like, I'm just a very objective person. And I'm like, here's the deal. Like, I wasn't really doing anything like totally revolutionary, but I've always been really good at going all in when the odds are in my favor. Like,
well, I was going to say, that's what I see.
Played my cards right. What's that?
Commitment. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it was is I mean, it seems like the thing you describe is like the spirit of a marketer is to observe, make a change, observe, make a change, observe, make a change, which grow upon themselves. But you had discipline and the commitment to really kind of stay in there. And it might not look like to you, like there was so much brilliance in there, right? But it was incremental, and it was commitment to continually make incremental changes. So like if you look at any of it, if you're looking at it from where you sit, you see maybe a lot of little changes, but it's the commitment that really carried the day.
Yep, that's right. I agree with you there for sure.
Yeah. And I have but one regret, which is that we met in April 2016, and at the time you'd said, you know, I do a marketing agency work for other companies, and like, you know, if you want, I could work on your stuff. And my regret is that I didn't take you up on it. But you know, because just, you know, seeing what you've done during that time period for your company, and just like knowing what that commitment is. Anyway,
yeah,
I'm sure it would have helped quite a bit on this end. But that's what you've been doing lately, though. In general, though, is you've been getting involved with other entrepreneurs to help them. Right? Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been up to?
Yeah. So I mean, like we sort of mentioned in the intro there, like I sold the company actually almost a year ago to the day, which was a great decision, even before COVID came and all that, right? But it was just time for me to move on to the next chapter. And the funny thing is trying to figure out what that next chapter actually is. So, you know, where my focus is really is I just love talking about the stuff, and not just talking about it. You just don't turn it off in my brain. Like, I'm always thinking about solving problems and how to do things better and build business and better businesses. And long ago, even when I did some very one-off consulting work, I remember the first person I helped. She's a great friend, but at the time, she was a great friend then too. But at the time, she was just getting into online stuff, and she had her first course launch, and I was helping them for free, just as a friend, like, oh, for the launch, like do this and do this and do this and do this webinar like this. And I can review your slides and all this stuff. And I was having I don't know if it was Skype. I don't even know if Zoom was around back then. This was probably 4 years ago. And I was like telling them all this stuff for free. And it was sort of like, I just saw them like glossed over. Like they're just like, they look so confused. And I realized I had a light bulb moment. I'm like, if they need help, I can offer to just help them. So I did. The next day I wrote them, and I ended up doing it on like a rev share for the launch. And it was like, I got like 25% of the launch or something. And, I did it all though. Like I was their launch coach. I helped back then. I wouldn't necessarily do this now for that, because it was a lot of work, but we ran the ads. We wrote the email copy. Like we did the whole shebang. And well, their goal, I was like, what's your goal for this? And their goal was they wanted to make at least $50,000 on the launch. And we ended up doing 500,000. And they ended up taking that money and they ended their profits, and they ended up buying, they live on the East Coast, not on the West Coast. Otherwise, maybe they probably need a few more launches, but they bought this beautiful lake house. I think out in Virginia where they're at. And that became, the Consistency Cottage, because that's what the name of the course was. And all their family goes there still to this day. My point in telling the story is back then, that was my first sort of big, like, moment of feeling a different kind of impact than I'd ever had. It was like this person, their life sort of changed, and they've continued they took the same thing that I taught them. They've done it multiple times over, and have had for the last 3 to 5 years a multi 7-figure business. And I haven't got paid anything else from that. That's okay. The impact that I've had from them helping somebody change their life in that way has been pretty profound. So as I'm now focusing on helping others do that same thing, helping others scale their business higher than they thought was possible. And a lot of times it's just coming in with a fresh perspective, especially since a lot of these things I've already have experienced where other people maybe weren't as scrappy and they've sort of been on set it and forget it mode. I can come on in and be like, oh yeah, totally clear as day. Here's what you need to do here. And here's what you need to change on this for retention and churn. And that's fun for me. So, and I know a number of those relationships that are maybe on a consulting basis can turn into something more down the line for a stronger sort of partnership. So that's what I've been up to right now. I know you're going to probably have it in the show notes, but since we're talking about it, if people can go check out my website at colehumphus.com if they want to learn more about what I'm doing. And
first, I need to learn how to spell Cole Humphus.
You're right. I forgot about that. I'm not used to using my name for anything, but it's COLE, Cole, and then Humphus is HUMPHUS.com. And as I was telling you earlier, Rich, I decided about 3 weeks ago to go ahead and just document sort of my best stuff, to just document it. And I got into a Google Doc and I just started writing and scripting this thing out. And I ended up coming out with 8,300 words, which I ended up calling the 7+ figure annual profit blueprint. And I'm giving that away right now as well. I literally have nothing to sell. So it's not like an opt-in and then you're going to get an offer. But anyone who's listening here can certainly go get that. And that's at rapidscalesystem.com.
You mean I don't have to pay $7 to buy it? And then
there's nothing. It's 100% free. I've done that plenty. And honestly, if I had some other stuff to sell, it probably would be $7. But right now, I'm just enjoying helping people and having great conversations with people.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And just the story you told about the people you helped get their lake house. I mean, that's just high leverage, right? I mean, you got involved, and I mean, how long did it take you? Like, did you work on it for a week or a few days or a month? Like, what was the?
Yeah, I mean, we were sort of late to the ball game. So I think it was about 2 weeks from when I came on, but it wasn't like 2 weeks of like full-time work kind of thing. So if you actually break it down, it was probably, 36 hours of work, maybe.
Right. So 36 hours to change someone's life and, and make 6 figures worth of money just on the on that initial launch. I mean, that's high leverage. So
Yeah.
it sounds like kind of like that's what's been exciting you, is that high leverage opportunity where you could put in an ounce of effort and get back, 10 pounds of benefit, whether it's
Yeah.
for yourself or for them.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely what I'm sort of enjoying getting back to doing more of, and
Yeah, I'm a big fan of leverage myself.
yeah, and what's really cool about that kind of stuff is I think we all get blind with what we know because we forget what it's like back then. And we, there's been so many war room members that would intro me kind of the same way like you did. Cole's always on the Wicked Smart stage. He has all these great things. And literally every time I've gone up there, I'm always like, I don't even know if I should go up with this because it's just not even that good,
Right.
And it's not like, our brains are just wired differently sometimes. And I'm more of an executor, not this like grandiose, like revolutionary visionary. But a lot of times those are the things that can have the biggest material impact, and they come easy to us, but for other people, they're like, oh, that's just what I needed.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Exactly. Sometimes when you're too close to it, you can't see what it really is. And but that's awesome. And so like you kind of like went tactic to tactic, you built your way up, you got your way to your I'll say 8-figure exit, because like the way you talk about it and how humble you are about all of it, people might not even realize that it was really a substantial thing, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And so now like you're helping other people, and you're also going fishing, as I've seen on social media quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to do enough just to keep myself engaged and interested and keep the pencil sharp. But at the same time, I absolutely have learned a lot about myself in last year, and I've also very much value my time and freedom. I've realized recently how important that word is, freedom, both financial freedom, but also time freedom. For example, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll just say it differently.
Say it.
I can't stand stuff on my schedule. Can't stand it. So I'm very selective with who I say yes to. And that's both in a actual corporate business meeting standpoint and otherwise. Because back to freedom, I love being able to work when I want to work and when I'm the sharpest. And I love being able to go fishing when the fishing is good. I don't want to be like, oh crap, like, oh, the tuna are freaking biting right now, but I got like 3 meetings tomorrow. No, instead I'm like, all right, I'm going to move those meetings because we got to go fishing. Freedom, even on the other side, my fishing partner is my dad. We love going fishing together, and it's been so fun to go spend more time with him. And so, yeah, these things are important. And I think in a business, tying it back to just anyone who's listening, maybe if you're an entrepreneur yourself, it's like we all, I think, go through these phases of like building a lifestyle business versus like working like 60 hours a week and just grinding yourself to a pulp. And,
you mean the myth of a lifestyle business?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't like that word. But I know people understand what it means, right? Like I think many people would say like I had a lifestyle business because, well, at the end, I didn't have to do much work. Like I ended up assembling a team. We still were super profitable because the team was pretty much remote and mostly part-time and all of those good things. And I wasn't dumb. I actually like just figured out what is the shit that I'm doing that I don't want to do. And I started having other people do it. So that was sort of a lifestyle business. Well, it still was a 8-figure exit business too. Right. It wasn't like I'm running ads with like, hey, here's me. Like, it wasn't like BizOp. I'm like sitting on the beach and you could too. And here's my 1997 webinar where you're going to make $10,000 a month. Right. It was a legit business that got acquired. So I think it's like the more that people I guess where I'm trying to go with this is like, for me, that was perfect. For me, I had a business that was sellable. I had a business that I took it darn near as far as I wanted to take it. And I say it like that because I knew to take it further, my level of commitment and effort would have had to change. And my level of profit would have changed too. And I'm like, I don't want to give all that up. I don't want to go from having 10 people on a team to 20. I don't want to go from working 20 hours a week to 60. So anyways, I guess my point is figure out what you want, whoever's listening, and the values that you have, and then build the business around that.
Yep, absolutely. Basically, if you if you look at lifestyle businesses, where most people come at it from is like they think like you go and I could work from anywhere and then I'll work 10 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, okay, so you get to live in Hawaii, but now you're working 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's why I say the myth of a lifestyle business.
You don't get to the 10 hours until you've already done the like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Right. And most people aren't
too.
willing to put that much in.
Yeah.
But, I guess you could, just going from what you're saying is you could, decide where you want to get to. You have to be willing to put in the time to get there. But ultimately you need to decide what level of commitment works for you.
Yeah. And the tricky thing is, a couple of things that popped in my head is like, first and foremost, I love the quote that Ryan Dice always has told us, which is people pay with, you pay with either time or money, period. So
I thought the only thing he ever said was the person who pays the most to get a customer wins. I didn't know he had other quotes.
That was circa like 2016. Now it's time or money thing, but it's true. So like back to that person, like let's say we want to work 10 hours a week. Well, that's cool. Like either you are going to have to put in hundreds of hours before you get there, or B, you're going to have deep pockets and just start building the perfect team that can do it for you. And then it's not really the lifestyle business that you had in your mind anyways. Like the whole idea, and things are so much harder and different now than they were even 5 years ago, heck, even 3 years ago. Like, you can't just go and throw up your laptop, put up a landing page, run some ads, and then start cranking out profits. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people listening go, oh yeah, I know someone. And if you can, cool. But you may not be doing it at the big enough scale. Like, right. Or it's a brand new offer that
it's just the odds have become longer, right? It's still possible to do it, but it's kind of like, like 10 years ago, if you said like, I'm gonna make videos of myself playing the guitar, playing cover songs, and it's gonna go viral, right? Now, 10 years ago, like people be like, wow, you see this guy playing Led Zeppelin, but now there's like, 100,000 people doing that same thing.
Yeah. Economics, ain't it a bitch? Like, right. No, but seriously, it's all about like the increase in competition in the last 24 months is just crazy. And back to the point about tactics. Tactics will only take you so far. And I think a lot of people right now, if they're there right now and they're already feeling this, or they're going to, or maybe they're starting something brand new and they're like, well, I bought this course on email marketing, or I bought this course on how to do a webinar, and they're like, it's not converting for me. Well, it's not that the tactic didn't work. It's just, it's lost its luster. You now need to build an actual business. These people that are going to try and have a ton of profits from a single product, those are going to be very few and far in between.
Yep, absolutely. It's just supply and demand. Like once the demand is clear, then everybody rushes in to supply, and then
the whole equation falls apart.
We head to zero economic profit, as I learned in economics class. So you've been fishing. I've seen you've been playing the piano a bit too. Like you've been.
I just saw your thing the other day. That was cool. Yeah,
that was fun. Yeah. That was fun. I played some Pink Floyd songs on the piano, and I just did a Facebook Live just out of the blue, and about
That is
1,000
fun.
people watched it and got over
Wow.
100 comments, and
That's cool.
that was really cool.
Yeah, you need that. I played guitar in a band for a long time, and I never grew up wanting to play piano, but sort of after guitar and even during guitar, I always appreciated piano, the sound, and just like, I was just sort of like, man, that'd be really cool to learn. And I sort of just always thought to myself, I couldn't do it. I was like, that's probably really hard. And this year, I just like at the very start of the year, like I think it was like literally the first week of January, I was like, you know what? I've sort of been bored, twiddling my thumbs a little bit. I'm like, I need something new. I'm like, I'm going to buy myself a keyboard because, better start there. Um, and I've enjoyed it. I've loved it. It's way fun.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, I agree. Way better to get a keyboard. It's a bit easier to move than a piano should you decide that it's not your thing,
Well, it's just like when I was teaching myself photography. You start low because if you suck and if you don't like it, you can offload it a lot easier.
Yep. No, absolutely. That's certainly true. So, I'm glad to see that you're doing things that light you up in the time that you've created for yourself by having success in your business. I mean, so many entrepreneurs dream of taking something that they conceived of, building it, exiting it, and then having some extra freedom because of what they did. So congratulations for doing that, and congratulations for doing things that you're passionate about in the time and space that you've created for yourself.
Well, thanks a bunch. That means a lot. And, hopefully I can inspire some others in this capacity to do the same, because, it's always interesting yet really cool to look back and just realize, man, I can't believe that this happened. And I can't believe it happened just 2 or 3 years ago. And, one thing I've always told myself is just, and this is for good and for bad, but like a lot can change in a very short amount of time. And I just believe that we all have to strike while the iron's hot, be open-minded, be tactical, because when the stars align, you can really cover it and make up a lot of ground fast in the business world. And that's what's sort of fun and exciting about it. So yeah, I'm not going to turn off this sort of brain anytime soon. It's just how I'm wired.
That's awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing what you create next and what you help people create next. So I appreciate you being here. And if people want to learn more about you or get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, you betcha, Rich. I'll name out those two websites again. My personal website, ColeHumphus.com. That's HUMPHUS.com. And then make sure to go and get the free guide that I put together, because it honestly shouldn't be free. And I know that sounds like everyone says that, but RapidScaleSystem.com. And find me on Facebook. I don't really do all the TikTok, all the other stuff, because remember, I don't like stuff on my schedule, but I always hang out on Facebook. So feel free to stop by or send me a message and say hello. That's awesome. Cole, really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you soon. Right on. Thanks for having me, Rich.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.